It's a once-in-a-lifetime event for our community.
The NFL selects Green Bay, Wisconsin.
And no one is getting you ready for the draft like Local 5. It's Titletown's turn. Presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Good evening and welcome to the show for our Titletown's Turn Draft Prospect Special. He's Kyle Balzon. I'm Burke Griffin. 7 weeks from tomorrow, the first round of the NFL Draft will be taking place right over there at 1265 Lombardi Avenue.
Thankfully, it's not, today with these snowy conditions, but if anybody wanted a taste of what Wisconsin's really like, they should have came this week.
All right, the Combine was in Indianapolis. It was the place to be last week. Unless the Packers make a major move up the draft board, nobody knows for sure where they're going to go with that 23rd pick. We'll hear from GM Brian Gutekunst later in the show. However, this will be the first time a lot of these players ever come to Wisconsin and Green Bay in particular.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting on just how they approach the week. I know their mindset is always, I'm just waiting for that call, business as usual, but hopefully they get to like a supper club, enjoy some fish, maybe some cheese curds, old fashions, but
they will have those over there for sure.
They better.
All right, we're going to have our top 5 picks coming up later in the show, but when it comes to ability and versatility, look no further than Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter.
Yeah, he's like the NFL's version, will be the NFL's version of Shohei Ohtani. Like just doing the unthinkable. Now it will be interesting to see when he gets settled in on whatever team is going to pick him, if he's going to be a wide receiver or if they're going to really rely on him at being a corner and kind of stick to one position. But an unreal talent, one of those guys who are just a freak at nature at what they do. And nonetheless, like whatever position he plays, he's going to make a huge impact wherever he goes.
Look, it's an unfair comparison, but the guy that coached him brought him to Colorado for a reason. He's about as close to Deion Sanders as you can get in terms of true talent on both sides of the football.
Yeah, borderline cocky, but he's definitely confident, and he knows his situation is definitely unique.
I mean, nobody have done it, but I feel like I'll put my body through a lot. I do a lot of treatment. People don't get to see that part, what I do for my body to make sure I'm 100% each game, but I feel like I can do it because nobody have done it, and I know I can do it. I did it at college level, which the game is, we rarely get breaks, and it's a lot more breaks in the NFL.
All right, another very intriguing prospect is Ashton Jeanty. I say that because, look, he'll be the first running back taken off the board. And now, after a time when running backs were not getting paid, all of a sudden, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs right here in Green Bay, they've reset the market value of running backs.
Yeah, I mean, Ashton Jeanty made a really strong case at being the Heisman Trophy winner. He was the runner-up, and you mentioned Derrick Henry. That was the last running back in 2015 to do so when he was in Alabama. So when it comes to Ashton Jeanty, explosive, he can change an offense just like that. And he's really smart in the backfield on where he cuts and where he goes and when the holes open up. But the draft process is a lot, but for Jeanty, he's just kind of relishing the moment right now.
Yeah, this process has been great. I mean, you talk about, all the running backs. There's a lot of great running backs here. So, talking to them, picking their mind, that's been cool. Talking to all the different teams, seeing their philosophies, how they think. Breaking down my own film, seeing all the good plays, but also seeing some plays, where I could be better and, doing the interviews and just getting to talk about my story and who I am as a person.
All right. Well, 5 years ago, the draft was done virtually due to COVID. Yeah. Now, as cool as it is to walk across that stage and get the bro hug from Roger Goodell, some guys, they've already said they're not making a trip here to Green Bay.
Which is crazy because I know times have changed and whatnot, but like Lambeau Field's the mecca of football, and there's no better place to kind of kick off your career than right here in Titletown.
Definitely. I mean, you only get drafted one time, so to be there, be in the green room and, get your name called, walk across the stage with all your family there, it's a special opportunity.
I'm not sure. Depending on how the combine goes, if I get an invite, I'll probably head out there. If not, probably do one at home.
I mean, I got nothing set in stone right now, so I wish I had an answer for you, but I sure am excited to hear that jingle and hear my name called across for sure.
I don't know yet. They haven't invited me, so right now, unless I get an invitation, I don't know. It makes more sense for me to be at home. Be with the family, be with everybody that supported me.
Should be interesting to see which players and agents rent certain restaurants and places around town, whether it's in VRBO, Airbnb, whatever you want to call hotels, because they're all pretty much booked up now.
This place is going to be packed, Bert.
So those guys will be having their first, like you said, taste of cheese curds and some Wisconsin brew here. So, all right, when we come back on Titletown's Turn, we'll hear from a former Badger who is hoping to hear his name called.
Plus, fans across the world are going to be coming to Green Bay, and these players, they're just hoping that they get their franchise quarterback, the fan bases that is, for the next 15 years. And this is a draft with some top-heavy guys. We'll hear from some of the stars coming up next after the break.
And now, Draft Day Memories, brought to you by the True North Convenience Stores.
There's a lot of noise out there. Everybody has their 2 cents on your abilities, what you can and can't do, and where you ultimately may end up. But my recommendation to all those future professional athletes is just keep your head down, keep working hard, have faith in the process, and that it will all work out for you.
And welcome back to Titletown's Turn and our draft prospect special. He's Kyle. I'm Burke. Lucas Van Ness. If you remember correctly, he was partying in Lake Geneva.
Yeah, right here in Wisconsin. And hopefully sooner than later we can see him take that next step, down the line.
Look, every franchise is looking for their guy at quarterback. Obviously, right now, Green Bay has one of them, so they don't need anybody else.
Thankfully.
But right now, there are 2 or 3 guys that are the cream of the crop going into the draft.
Yeah, definitely top heavy. I mean, you got Cam Ward, you got Shedeur Sanders, 2 guys that can come into a franchise and really change things. It doesn't have to be a 4 or 5 year process. Year 1, they can come in and really change it. Cameron Ezaire was in Indianapolis and has more with the top 2 quarterbacks and some of those other guys.
With the first pick, with the second pick, with the third pick in the 2024 NFL Draft,
the Minnesota Vikings
select Bo Nix, quarterback.
Last year's draft was quarterback heavy to say the least, with 6 signal callers taken as the first 12 picks. That tied a 1983 record for the most QBs selected in the first round. Now, although most draft experts don't have that many, hearing their name called early this year, the hype is just as prevalent for 2 former college standouts.
At the end of the day, I know what type of player I am. The team should know what type of player they're getting in me.
If you ain't trying to change the franchise or the coach, then don't get me.
Let's start with Miami's Cam Ward. Although he didn't work out at the Combine, he said he believes his tape speaks for itself.
What separates me from everybody is the way I approach it, the mindset that I have going into the field each and every game.
Ward's 5 years of college football saw him transition from the FCS to the FBS level, closing out his collegiate career at Miami, where he threw for over 4,300 yards and led the nation with nearly 40 touchdowns.
Coming from, my journey, not a lot of people can do that. And so I just think it shows, the work that I'm willing to put in, whether I go first round or second round. At the end of the day, that draft pick don't mean nothing. It's all about, establishing yourself once you get the opportunity.
That being said, with 6 teams in the top 10 currently without a locked-in number 1 quarterback, most mock drafts have Ward as the first signal caller off the board.
I'm not worried about no spotlight. At the end of the day, the camera's going to find you. You're the franchise quarterback somewhere.
As for the next QB expected to hear his name called in Green Bay, that spotlight has been on him his whole life.
You think I'm worried about what critics say or what people got to say? You know who my dad is? They hated on him too. We like diversity. We like everything that comes with the name. That's why we are who we are.
Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, the son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders. Now, Shedeur's path is similar to Ward's. After making the move from the FCS to the FBS level, Sanders shined, especially this past season, completing nearly 75% of his passes with over 4,000 yards in the process.
You should know history repeats itself over and over and over, and I've done it over and over and over, so it should be no question why an NFL franchise should pick me.
But stats aside, it might be the trait that he undoubtedly shares with his dad that gets Sanders into the top 10. That's his confidence.
I know what I want, and I know it's going to make me succeed. So that's these conversations with the coaches, with the GMs, and understanding, look, this how I'm going to get on track. Because I tried everybody's way. I tried every different style, every different way. so I know what works for me and what makes me play my best.
Outside of those two projected first-round picks who both chose not to participate at the Combine are other signal callers who did work out in Indianapolis over the weekend.
I remember when I first landed here on Tuesday, seeing Lucas Oil Stadium and all the Combine stuff. I was like, wow, like I'm really here.
And along with McCord, who led the country in passing yards at the college level last season, are QBs hoping that their intangibles lead to a moment in Green Bay that they'll always remember.
You know, you can tell a lot about a person on how they choose things, and that goes hand in hand on and off the field. But my decision making for me is something I pride myself on.
Being able to go 13 for 13 to start the national championship was, you know, one of the better starts I've had to a game. So I think I proved to people that, you know, I am best when, you know, the pressure's on.
One thing I want to showcase is just my ability to extend the ball down the field. A lot of people think, you know, my arm might be a little bit weaker, but, you know, all that matters is that I think I got a strong arm. So I'm ready to prove a lot of people wrong.
Now, it might not be a draft as centered around the quarterback like last year when April rolls around, but with 30 QBs taken in the first round over the last decade, there'll be no shortage of draftees set to make an impact at that position. For Titletown's Turn, I'm Cameron Ezair.
All righty, thank you, Cam. And for every Jaden Daniels, there's a Brock Purdy out there, too, that we never heard about, and then he'll make a splash.
100%. And Green Bay, they haven't had to worry about that position for a while.
Nope. All right, when we come back on Titletown's Turn with our draft prospect special, Brian Gutekunst and company, we're in Indianapolis at the Combine. We will check in with him.
Plus, a hometown Badger is hoping to hear his name called throughout the 3-day draft. We'll see how Hunter Wohler is feeling after the Combine. We'll hear from the Muskego native coming up next after the break.
Welcome back to Titletown's Turn in our draft prospect show. He's Kyle, I'm Burke. Over the years, the Badgers have had their share of players selected in the draft. This season will be no different, even though there isn't that top-tier J.J. Watt kind of guy.
Yeah, but Hunter Wohler of Muskego is hoping that his name gets called whatever day it is and comes into the NFL and makes an impact.
It's a blessing to be here and be able to represent Wisconsin and all the guys that are there that have come through there, that are still there, the coaches that I had. You know, it's a blessing to be in this spot, and you know, you do everything you can to prove the ones that bet on you, prove them right.
Former Badgers safety Hunter Wohler knew his performance at the NFL Combine was more than just a workout to prove he deserves a spot in the league. It was also an opportunity to showcase Wisconsin on the major stage, especially with the draft heading to his home state in a few short weeks.
It's special because I don't think in my lifetime the draft will ever be in Green Bay again. So it's definitely special being from Wisconsin, playing in Wisconsin. You know, to have the opportunity to have my name called in Wisconsin as well.
The Muskego grad raised his draft stock at the Combine. With a 37-inch vertical and the fastest 3-cone drill for his position, Wohler earned a relative athletic score of 9.55 out of 10. But he wants to be remembered for his brain and his brawn.
Intelligent, good understanding of the game and ability to communicate. You know, the same person every single day. Like, I'm going to show up, I'm going to give you my everything. And just an aggressiveness and an aggressive nature and a joy to be on that field every single day.
The Badgers captain had a standout season in 2023, recording 120 tackles and snagging 2 picks. He could have entered the draft last year. Instead, Wohler returned to Madison for his senior season. Though he saw a dip in his numbers this year, Wohler still led the team in tackles and is now a projected 5th or 6th round pick.
Well, I don't regret coming back for this last season. I think that, you know, everything happens for a reason, and I was able to grow and learn and hopefully give myself a better chance coming into this opportunity and this process now.
Lauren Helmbrecht reporting for Titletown's Turn.
All righty, thank you, Lauren. We already talked about all the offensive guys, so let's get defensive here. From the green and gold perspective, of course, everyone would like to see a little more production out of Lucas Van Ness and Rashawn Gary and the edge rushing spot. However, they probably aren't going to be able to go up and get Abdul Carter, and that dude is going to hear his name called early and be an impact player on the edge.
Yeah, he could go number 1 as early as that. I mean, this is a freak of nature when he gets on the field. He plays with great vision. When it comes to play action, he's so smart behind in the backfield. He likes to, you know, just terrorized the backfield. 12 sacks this past year, Burke. 2 fumbles forced. You want a guy that can, harass quarterbacks and get that pressure, a Myles Garrett type of player. This is your guy right here.
Yeah, and he's coming off a stress fracture in his foot, but he's also, like you said, Myles Garrett, I think a little Khalil Mack as well.
Yeah, totally.
Impact player, that is for sure. Now let's talk about a couple of guys in the secondary. Nick Emanwari, big, fast safety out of South Carolina. The dude is 6'3", and he ran a 4.38 40. Sound tackler, rangy. Kind of like maybe a little bit bigger Xavier McKinney.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, he was the darling at the Combine, Burke. I mean, when you look at those numbers, it just pops off the page. Emanwari, you're looking at, a guy who had a vertical of 43 inches, second fastest 40-yard dash in the safety group with 4.38. Does Emanwari jump off the page? 100%, and he knew that he had a good opportunity at the Combine to show off his skill case.
I don't think you ever seen a safety like me. Well, it's a lot of dudes that came through this league, but a safety like me hasn't come through this league in a long time. My size, my speed, my ability. So growing up, man, youngest of 5 boys, I ain't had no sisters, so it was crazy growing up in the house. But it was fun though. Like we used to be wrestling all the time, play fighting, competing all the time. So they kind of got me tough, got me ready, and they're the reason why I am who I am now. So.
All right, another guy in that secondary is Malachi Starks, difference maker, not as big as Emanwari, 6'1", ran a 4.5, and he could also be another first-round pick in that secondary.
Yeah, coming out of Georgia.
Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. What does Georgia do? Produce winners, and sometimes that's all it takes is for somebody to take a chance on you. When you come from a high-profile, program like Georgia, dude's a winner, and he can make an impact as well in that 15, 20, 25 range in the draft.
All right, when we come back on Titletown's Turn with our draft prospect special, Kyle and I will pick our top 5 selections that are going to hear their name called here in Green Bay.
Plus, Burke, the Packers might have to wait until pick number 23 in the first round, but the phones will be busy all day long. We'll hear from General Manager Brian Gutekunst coming up next, and as we head to break, here's your medical huddle from Bellin Health.
Welcome back to Titletown's Turn in our draft prospect special. Kyle, it would appear at this point the Packers are going to need another wide receiver with injuries to Christian Watson and the way the season ended. Cover corners, always a must. Edge rusher, possibly another D lineman. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they have 8 picks right now. I think they get the wide receiver kind of area, in free agency. Corner's the big one. But Brian Gutekunst likes his draft picks, Burke. And I think there's a situation where he could trade out of a pick to acquire more. The youngest team in the NFL might even get younger.
Having the draft in Green Bay really doesn't change anything for how we go about that. I mean, we're going to do what's best for the Green Bay Packers, and if that's trading out of a pick, we certainly would do it. But either way, I think it's going to be a great event. It's going to be pretty special. So we're all, like I said, excited for it.
The NFL Combine is in the past, and all that's left now is the draft come April.
It's more about getting to know these college players and making sure that the time we spend not only in the interviews, but watching them compete on the field, the weigh-ins, just everything that they do here. Just kind of immersing yourself in that to get to know these guys as well as you can. You don't have this opportunity again. This is kind of a 1 week. So to me, that's the priority.
Last week, Green Bay's front office and scouting department had a chance to get a first-hand look at some of these prospects that they may have listed on their board.
This is all information gathering, and it plays a part. Certainly plays a part. As we go through, we just got through about 2.5 weeks of draft meetings with our scouts. We put up the board initially. We go through this week, and again, there's a ton of information, whether it be medical, whether it be psychological, whether it be the interviews that we do, the testing data. All that information will come back in, and then we'll go through about 3 more phases before the board is actually set exactly. And all this information that we gather this week is a big part of that.
As of right now, the Packers have the 23rd pick in the first round. And when asked about Goody's initial thoughts of this year's draft class,
I think there's been a lot of talk about the offense and defensive lines maybe being a little bit stronger than in some years. But sitting here today, I kind of have an idea of kind of how we'd like to build this out if we're able to accomplish the things we want to accomplish. But 2 months from now, it may be completely different. So from my end, you're really trying to build a robust roster that can handle whatever challenges the season or, injuries or different things might bring. So that's kind of how we look at that.
And the Packers feel comfortable where they're at financially.
I do think that we have a lot of flexibility right now, not only through the draft, but with our cap situation. So if the opportunities are there and the right players are there, we won't hesitate to be aggressive.
So 8 draft picks if you're going out to Titletown in the district. You might be waiting a little bit.
And I love how a couple years ago when he reset it where he traded down and then the next for the second and third round, or in the fourth round I think it was, by Friday night, they had all night to think about who they wanted to take, and they turned I don't know at the time, 8 picks into 11 or whatever. And that's a thing that these guys take advantage of. They're on the phone calling their buddies going, hey, do you want this one? Can I give me another third rounder, give me a fifth rounder.
A lot of strategy that goes into it.
And look, 3 guys did contribute in a big way last year who came directly out of the draft as rookies. All right, time now for our top 5 picks. We both agree. Let's take a look at Kyle's first. Number 1, we agree, Cam Ward is the man.
Yeah, goodbye, Will Levis. Hello, Cam Ward. And then number 2, I got Shedeur Sanders. It's going to be say goodbye to the Deshaun Watson era, or close to the end. I got Jackson Dart going number 3 to the Giants. What's interesting about this is Ole Miss quarterbacks and the Giants, they kind of have a history. Eli Manning, 2004.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter goes to the Patriots, gives New England a little help on offense, defense with Drake May, and Abdul Carter, Jaguars, just the last best pick on the board.
Mine's a little bit the same. Cam Ward going to the Titans. I think Jackson Dart's going to be your surprise going to number 2 to Cleveland. Shedeur, bright lights, big city, primetime junior in with the Giants. Abdul Carter, look, hey, Mike Vrabel, he likes big defensive linemen. He'll go to the Patriots with Travis Hunter taking his talents to Jacksonville.
All right, here we go.
All right, stick with the Local 5 team next week for your draft download. Tom, Michelle, and Timothy Leteau will tell you what you need to know about the draft and what you need to avoid during that time. We'll have that and more coming up on next week's show right here on Local 5. Until then, take care.